and the joint was mute. Can you hear me now? I was telling the good. I was. There we go, right there. That's why I couldn't hit it. I had a great monologue right there. Right. Um. So now that you didn't hear a word I said, so we're gonna have a great conversation today. All right. Don't leave. Hang out. We're gonna kick this intro off. I had another intro I was gonna do, but it's copyright protected. Facebook showed me that now you can't play that. Can't play that. So we're gonna just get into it. So just hang tight. It's your opportunity to share. Because you're the word I said. Let's go. All right, we're back. I'm gonna bring my folks on. This is like a you remember back in the day when you watch a sitcom in a very special episode of I got two powerhouses coming in same time. It's like the Avengers coming together. It's gonna be a great conversation. I got Mr. Thomas Cotton and I have Mr. Matt Genius, aka the author, aka the rapper, aka doing the things big time, coming through. And we're gonna really drill down deep into the psychological effects or the mental aspect of not letting your inside thoughts dominate you. So let me not belate the time because I know my brother's got to get moving. So here we go. Hope you guys ready.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Boom. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just a quick note. After you kind of talked about my elevator music, I was like, okay, I'm gonna show him. Like I tried to load up your music.
Oh yeah,
my intro.
right.
But what I did first was test it out with Facebook. I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder how deep Matt's copyright goes. Facebook was like, yeah. And about 100 countries, this is not going to be heard. I was like,
wow, yeah. They got it on lock, man. Facebook will pull it down. I think all you have to do is say that you're not the owner of it or something like that.
I saw people do that. I didn't know if it actually worked, but maybe
I'm not sure. So I think you can do that as well.
When you get the notice from Facebook, you have to say a couple things. Number one, I'm not going to profit from this. Number two, I don't own the music.
Okay.
And number three, if you're using it with permission, say that.
Right. You have full consent. I said it on air, man. He has full consent to use Matt Genius music. So
indeed,
boom,
verbal, right? But you know what? I didn't want to risk it because I did it another time, and well, not yours, but someone else's music during the broadcast. So I was like, maybe they'll just mute it. Nah, Facebook said, you know what? Let's just take you down.
Wow.
My wife was like, yo, your video paused. I was like, what you mean? YouTube was straight. LinkedIn was straight.
In the middle of the broadcast?
It just because I was playing it in the background, like talking. It's like no one can hear you. Your thing just went down. It went down. Oh yeah. So I was like, because Facebook has been throwing folks in jail for everything. So I was like, I don't want to test fate like that.
Hey, Lisa, thank you. Real.
Great lineup. Yes, indeed. All right, hold on. Let me get Pusha T, aka Kaneem Curvey.
Hey.
Pusha T. I think I know Pusha T.
Gentlemen, what's going on?
Hey, good morning.
I feel like I need some kind of shortening thing that I need to do.
Listen, I just got hyped to it this week, man.
Happen. What's that?
I just got hyped to it this week, man. It's my first time changing it. I used to have the acronym, the letters behind my name, everything, man. The year I graduated.
Right. Oh yeah, he had the whole title. Like, let me put all my credentials up here so y'all. Right. Oh man. Hey, good morning, Keita. Good morning. All right, so welcome, gentlemen. Welcome everybody. Make sure you share. Make sure you tag somebody. Also, like if you're in the Facebook space, go to our Facebook page. Hit share with everybody. Just hit select all. You don't even got to go through everybody. Just hit select all and get everybody to the Facebook page. And that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so getting into today's topic, how to not let your inside thoughts dominate your actions. And everybody's, Kaneem brought the video up yesterday, and we watched it. Have you seen this? Had a chance to see the video, Matt?
Yeah, I did. I think that's an old video that's just started to recirculate. I saw that.
Yeah, It came out in July.
Okay. It's amazing how that happens. I guess it's all about someone else with an audience that shares it. Like they reshare, and then a new audience sees it. It's like, yeah. My initial response or thinking when it comes to this video is, well, my initial question. Is it too much? Was that based on you guys' personal feelings, professional feelings? Was that too much?
I think you got to give the audience more context on what the video is about.
I'm sorry, my fault. I'm assuming that everybody's seen it. Because I didn't want to show it.
Yeah,
well, I was thinking you could show it muted.
Right.
we can't bleep enough times in that video.
Well, in essence, he yeah, I know, right? I probably need to show it.
Well, I mean, even if you show it muted, it still takes away from the impact.
The impact.
Right. So just try to describe it as best you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kaneem. When you described it, that's what made us want to see it. So you probably can describe it better than I can.
Well, I mean, when I saw it, the dude was on there and he was talking to his son. He was going through a little, I guess, a brief conversation. He had found out the son had got on social media with his guns or whatnot, and he was being all having bravado, I guess, actions on his social media. And the dad found out, and I guess the dad was like, he's going to embarrass him or make him feel less than what he was. because he was trying to be brave on social media with these guns. So in the midst of that, the dad just stopped mid-sentence and slapped the taste out of his mouth, and then came back right back to like it didn't happen, and went back on speaking.
Right. That's it in a nutshell.
So in that part right there where he slapped him, there's a lot more interaction going on with him and the people that are on social media watching this. And that's part of the reason that they made him slap him, because it's hard to hear the wife or the woman is saying something that they're saying on social media, like, that's my boy or whatever. And he was like, and he turned, he slapped him. He was like, pull up. I'm ready for y'all.
Wow.
And so
I hear that part.
There's this interaction going on social media at that time. We got the soundbite of what's going on, but like I watched that thing over and over and over again, because it's just like there's so much going on in that video.
Oh, really?
If you all haven't seen it and you want to go look at it, it's Memphis Dad Slaps Son.
Yeah,
for showing guns on social media. Y'all go check it out, and you can join the chat. But yeah,
I'll put it in the chat, because I was trying to. Yeah, I know some. I try not to show that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't see the comments. I wasn't even looking at the chat on what they was going back and forth. I was just listening to him, and he just bam. I was like, oh, and then it cut off. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I might have had like 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
Because this was TikTok, and I was looking at it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should have sent you the video. Thomas Cotton sent me. Because it's more of it. Because he tells them, pull up. So obviously, maybe the boy was saying they're gonna come get you. There might have been some exchange prior to, but then he also said something to the effect of I guess the disrespect probably was showing the guns, but I felt like there might have been more. Whereas, the son challenged him. You understand what I'm saying? If you listen, because he said something about, coming in my face or something of that nature. Like, I guess he stepped to him about it, so it might have been an escalation. I still don't warrant the smack on live,
Right.
Well, how he handled it, disciplining privately, that way. But I think live is more of a challenge. Like, if you see the video, because when he smacked him, like he hit him, like, but he took it like a trooper, like he just.
Yeah.
I mean, you're being watched publicly. You're being watched. Of course, you're not going to break down,
right?
In front of the world. But I only had the stomach to watch it once, man. It was very intense for me.
Yeah,
brought back some post-traumatic stress for me, man. So I was like, no, thank you.
Nah. So a lot of the basis of this conversation, and let me get Pastor in the building.
Late bloomer.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Good morning, brother.
Man, it's Wednesday already.
Yeah, I know.
The week going
right. And a lot of I've never been the one to like stick to the sensationalized stuff. Like, as you said, this was in July, but it's obviously coming back up. I'm sure more and more people are going to start talking about it maybe again, because it's the first time I've seen it. The main premise of a lot of this conversation is, kind of captivating our thoughts, or not always just being so reactive to situations and taking our time. We kind of spoke about it at the end of yesterday's show. But today I kind of want to drill deeper into that, because a lot of our worst decisions are made in the heat of a moment. When things got hot, when somebody said something. I'm getting some echo. If just turn the speakers down a little bit, maybe Pastor and Kaneem a little bit. So today I just want to kind of talk about the process of the not reacting. And I know Thomas has been through, with his change and his going from one space to another space in his testimony, he's had to learn how to, sometimes you got to eat that thing, swallow it a little bit, figure out how should I respond in more of in the most healthy way possible to get a better outcome, because we go through those moments and you just go to jail at night, like, or just try to figure this thing out. Let's, and not respond reactively, because all of us have had those moments. We've had those moments where we lost it. We talked about, I think Kaneem, I spoke about, we had a moment where we kind of went overboard and I've gone back, and I think Kaneem, going back to your child and apologize, because you've gone, the punishment almost didn't fit the crime, but I'm just like either I told you 1,000 times or I'm just having a bad day, like, and then you gonna do this,
Yeah,
so you're adding to my stress, and now you're gonna get it all. You're gonna get it all.
the dad said something in the video that really resonated. Some of the Jim Crow era language, where he said that, I'm trying to save you
right
from being murdered on the streets. And he's like, I'll murder you first before they murder you, something to that effect. And I remember hearing that, about the African-American household where there was a lot of corporal punishment based on the level of scrutiny that Black kids can experience outside the household.
right
Being that, any misstep could be your life. And of course, it's recorded history where we know that to be true. And so the consequences inside the house were very severe in order to deter kids, from going out and making decisions that can cost them. So I'm gonna punish you severely, inside, so that you won't go outside and make those mistakes. And I heard that, and it broke my heart, because it's like, here we are decades later, and we're still in the same psychological trap of using violence to solve our problems, And of course, this is a tough one, man. For those who don't know, and I know only a little bit about the city of Memphis, but I know it's not a city to be played with,
Right.
Streets are cold out there. And so, of course, if you're advertising guns, then that's what's going to come your way. And so it's a very delicate, video. There's a lot of context that we don't have about the dad's history, about the son's history in the streets, and so it's a tough topic to talk about. What I do, what I would like to share is that we have to find different ways of disciplining our kids. We have to find a different way of disciplining our kids. When you saw the young man's face, he was gone.
Yeah.
He was gone. He looked like he detached. His soul left that room.
That's what I said, man.
His soul left that room.
Like his light just went out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was all good, but when that slap touched that face, it's like his light just turned off.
Which meant for me that relationship with the father is going to need some deep repairing. And that right there hurts even more, because the father-son relationship, father-child relationship is extremely important. Extremely important. So, and at his age as a teenager, it's critical. You really need that support, and that, and of course, in the father's own way, that's how he was being supportive, And so that's the conversation that I'd like to hear more of. Like, how can we support those communities where people don't have other tools to really kind of shape their kids in the right direction? It's very extreme case, and I'm sure it's not rare, but I think we could do better. Overall, that was my sentiment. Like, come on, Dad, you could do better than that. I know you love your son. He emphasized that a lot, but for me, that's not love. That's Jackson 5 right there. Remember, we talked about that.
I'm gonna chime in on a couple things he said in his own way, and we can do better.
Right.
A lot of times when you know better, you do better, right? That's what it's supposed to be. But a lot of times better, you don't do better because of the things that are in your life. You listen to the father and the tone he's coming in, the way he's challenging everybody, pull up, all these other things. He has a life, and he had a life prior to being a dad. And a lot of times, growing up, I've seen all types of things when it comes to how you raise your children. I used to smoke weed, and people ought to be around, smoke weed, blow weed in their baby face, and like it's a funny thing, like it's a hood thing, it's what we do. And then also that I brought you into this world, I'll take you out kind of mentality has been passed on and on and on and generationally. When you think about the dad, he is doing the best he can. I agree with AD when he says, it shouldn't have been on social media. But if you've ever had your head slapped before,
Right.
The sad part about this is what he's trying to stop him from being tough
Right.
guy.
Right.
Now he has to, in my opinion, he's going to have to become a tough guy.
Right.
Because, boy, I'll slap you in your head like your daddy did you. That's what he's going to be getting from so many other areas. I grew up, my family wouldn't let me be a punk as much as I wanted to be. Like, I didn't want to be involved in all that smoke. I didn't want it. But the reality is, you know what? You ain't going to be around here being soft. My cousins taught me that. My dad taught me that. Everybody. And the things that they taught me, I lived out just at an extreme level. Why? Because I felt I had to prove so much more. That's part of what it was, but there's so much more. What do you think the kid is going to do? He's already, his people, his friends are on the social media talking back to the dad. And then the dad, there's a gesture that the dad does that makes me go, you have zero clue or awareness of how you're allowing what visuals you're giving to your son. Because afterwards he has his hands to him like this, like he's putting a gun to his head.
Right.
And in that part, you're doing something. And I'll just say this, and I'll back up. But one of the hardest things to live out is Ephesians 6:4, where it talks about fathers do not provoke your children to wrath, right? But bring them up in the admonition of the Lord. And it's hard to not provoke your child to wrath.
Right.
As a father, that's to me one of the things. I got 2 boys, and it's really hard. One of the hardest things for me is to make sure that I'm not causing them this trauma. And literally, the son in this video, he's been traumatized and re-traumatized, and that's to me like some of the things we never really talk about is the trauma that we cause from our own hands.
All right, so let me Reese, appreciate you being here, my brother. He said, y'all are killing me with this. This is why boys are soft. He said, we need more tough love. That boy's friends have no father in their lives, and his son needed to be shown what fathers are willing to do, show him the way. He used the tools these kids are using to make a stronger point. If I'm that kid, I can't show my face around these kids anymore. Let's see. He said, how do I get in on this?
Well, he's saying a whole lot. And, as much as I understand what he's saying, I want to let everybody else talk. But as much as I understand what you're saying, that's not what makes kids soft.
Right.
And
no, doesn't make
you have a choice to make a kid soft or extra hard, which one you want. And sometimes the circumstances dictate. I even commented in the chat yesterday that his actions were public and they're going to remain on social media.
Right.
Well, this is just going to be
forever
on social media forever also. Well, the kid's gun waving is going to be on social media forever. So this is a counterbalance in a sense. I mean, I have multiple thoughts about this, but I'll get into this later, but this is not something that makes your kids soft.
Right.
This you want to see a soft kid, watch him when he's in prison, when he's broken, when he has nothing left over.
Yep.
And when he finds himself in a space where, so many things have, changed in his life and he has no control. Or you want to see a soft kid, watch him when the coffin drops, right? And because his dad can't connect with him to bring him out of that lifestyle. The dad, so to me, the dad has a foot in that lifestyle or had a foot in that lifestyle.
Right.
And this is his seed. Yeah. The son didn't walk away. So that tells me there's a level of respect there for the dad. But at the same time, there's so much to unpack.
So much, man. Yeah,
I agree, man. Because and like you said about the dad having a life before he had kids, and having one foot in, one foot out. The dad is trying to show him. And like I say, I only saw the TikTok. I didn't see the whole 5-minute video like y'all did. But like I told you yesterday, in my mind, I probably would have did the same thing, but it wouldn't have been on camera. It wouldn't have been on social media.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the dynamic is that if you feel that brave to go and take my guns and this, that, and third, you got something else going on. And if you're doing that, now you've been put in this spotlight with all these school shootings and this stuff going on. Now I got to be prepared for the weight of what you doing that's going to affect my life.
Right.
So I got to stop you now. And like Matt was saying about the Jim Crow, hey, if I don't stop you right now,
right,
before you go out in these streets with these guns,
right,
I'd rather slap you in your face with this hand than somebody slap you a few times with these bullets. Because you acting like you finna go out there and do something.
Right.
Don't speak about it being all brave out the mouth and can't back it up when you hit them streets.
Right.
So stop acting brave. Be who you are.
Right.
And don't pretend to be something that you ain't.
Right. That's the key. And just for clarity, I know sometimes they look at us or look at you gentlemen and like, oh, you guys, y'all ain't been through nothing.
Yeah, you soft. You soft.
Y'all ain't been through nothing.
Especially the one with the glasses. He's so soft.
Y'all ain't been through nothing.
I'll
Y'all
take
don't
that L,
understand.
man. I'll take it.
You know, and that's far from the truth. I know all these brothers' testimony, and if you really knew,
but that's just my opinion. You know, I was raised probably somewhat similar to how he being raised, but it's 2022.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So me being raised, I'm in the 80s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My mama, straight up, my mama was a cusser.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So she would tell me, I ain't raising no punks.
Right.
Get your lazy ass off that couch. Right. You know what I'm saying? She pushed me out there like, you're going to be a man, even though your dad ain't here. Right. I'm raising men. I ain't raising punks. You know what I'm saying? So she wanted me to be hard. She put me in I go out and get into a fight and I'm come home crying. Did you win? No, I didn't win. Hey, she'll make me go back outside and go fight again. You know what I'm saying?
L. Go catch that L again.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't have the right strategy there.
But that's in the 80s. You feel me? We talking about 30-something years later. You know what I'm saying? It should be different.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, 30-something years later where you get shot easily. Yeah. Don't no one know how to fight. We talk about fighting these days, and you know, there is no fighting, really.
No, not really, man.
Yeah.
Yo.
Hey, good morning.
Ephraim.
What's going on? All I heard, somebody was a punk.
Yeah.
That's my fault for being late.
So let's kind of drill down into, you know, and all you gentlemen have your separate experiences, kind of almost the same. You know, we came from a culture where, you know, you're supposed to man up, you know, don't be a punk, you know, but the thing is, and kind of where we at now, we've observed the results of certain lessons. You know, we've observed like, yeah, that don't really work. Like it's not really helping, you know, and it's about being more well-rounded as an individual, you know, being able to have better relationships, you know, knowing how to deal with conflict, you know, because that man up thing, you know, pushes us into an aggression. Like I got to be the alpha wolf in the pack, you know. So how do we get into that space where we're not, you know, we are not losing who we are as far as a man, but able to, how could I say, not result right into the violence or the aggressiveness that we all have been accustomed to or taught or pushed into, you know, or our neighborhoods or our boys, you know. How do we begin to do things differently or teach differently, you know? At the same time, on Reese's point, without our boys becoming soft. You know what I'm saying? Not dealing with conflict.
Man, I'm
You know what I'm
bubbling
saying?
inside.
I want to hear from the professionals. You know what I'm saying? I'm
He's
just
like,
a
I'm
dude
gonna
that
I
can
don't
only
know.
talk
I'm gonna
about
do
my
that.
experiences. I want to hear about the educated professionals on what they
The
think.
pastor's about to speak. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead,
Pastor.
Go ahead, Brian. Do your thing.
Hold on. Let me
No,
see. It might have-
I appreciate all of it, man. I was saying you are a professional, Kaneem, because you've lived it,
Right.
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
So that's experience is the absolute most qualifying component
Right.
of this entire platform, this conversation. So I'm
Yeah, but
great.
I mean that's true. I want to be better though, because I still got some of them stupid thoughts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
My
No, I
kids-
had another part of it. I was saying that the educational aspect, when you're able to go, like, I love the Lord. I love him with all my heart. I pray every day, but I tell you, I have such a better understanding now that I have academic experience in the Word of God, right? That I can find and apply. So I understand what you're saying, the ability to go out and study this stuff and then apply it to real life experiences really helps us, and it blesses our community. The one thing that I was going to go back to earlier is when you talk about the light going out in the young man's eyes, you know, the light went out not because he was slapped.
Right.
The light went out because he was slapped publicly.
Right. By his
Because
father.
if you look at his
By his
face,
father. That's all I was
right, by
gonna
his
say.
father. See, he
Yeah.
wasn't surprised by the slap. He was surprised
Nah.
by when and where it happened.
Right.
That's what happened, because clearly he's been slapped before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he took that like a champ.
He took
Right. He
it.
did.
So you know he's been hit upside his head a number of times.
Right.
So what you see is a culture of behavior. The father has no idea that he lost a piece of his son because it was public display.
Right.
The father is being hard because the father has peers out there too.
Right.
You talk
Right.
about the father coming from a life, or he looked like he's had a life, or whatever the case. As much as he loves his son, the
Right.
father has a group of homies that are watching how he interacts and how he deals with his son.
Right.
So he's got to answer to some people as well. So when he started saying, and then not only did he slap, the most disrespectful physical thing you could do to somebody is to slap them or spit on them.
Right.
Slap,
Agreed.
open hand slap in the face. You know, that's why they call it a bee slap, because most people who make the mistake of referring to women as bees.
Right.
Yeah.
They tell you he slapped him like he was a woman. Well, what do you mean slapped him like he was a woman? Where does that come from? That comes from cultural behavior also, right?
Right.
So the father emasculated the boy
Right.
publicly.
Right.
That's where the light goes out. It ain't the slap.
Pulled his man card.
He pulled it, he snatched it, tore it up, and put it in the garbage.
Right.
Right?
Is it possible that the child was operating on a card that he hadn't been issued, and the father was putting him back into his place?
Right.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But here's the issue. Who's more wrong, the boy or the father? Because what I will say is, what I believe is this. What the boy did was not a shock to anybody. It was an exposure.
Right.
You exposing my stuff. You putting my business in the streets.
It's the culture.
The culture. Right. And that culture, everything that transpired on the video is normal behavior.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Nobody from that demographic thinks that that's a shock. They'll tease him about it. Yeah, your daddy went upside your head, didn't he? Yeah, he showed.
Right.
It'll be funny. And no one will ever understand that the light went out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the boy in that moment becomes his father. He now becomes the person that will do that same thing to his son.
Right.
Because it's all he knows.
It's like
The father called him a bee. The father, as Thomas said, he was literally shooting his son in the head,
Yeah.
figuratively,
Yeah.
publicly, and talking about I love you.
Right.
And then his pride says, y'all pull up,
Right.
because he wants to validate I'm hard. While I'm talking about loving my son, I'm hard. Pull up. We'll show you. It's all wrong. It's all bad.
Father
But
said,
it's a culture.
Father said, I will murder you and your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care about killing
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, the
he
kid
said,
part
"Well,
gonna
like
get him."
Kids.
It's like I'm gonna murder you, and like, come
Yeah.
on now, you know they're locking up people for less, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
that ain't a
Right.
terroristic threat. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. I'm unsure of
man.
the law at that point.
When you
Yeah,
start
man.
thinking about the light going out, I mean, this light has been dim for a while. And
Mm.
you know, it's one of those things where, yeah, there's love, and the way people express love is one thing or another. You know, someone goes to prison, they get out, your homie's like, hey, take this sack, I'm gonna show you some love, get back on your feet.
Yeah. Good looking out.
And the reality is you just gave me the keys to go right back to prison, but that's love, right?
Right.
We don't look at it from that standpoint. We look at it as being soft. If you don't take this, or if you've changed from being one way and trying to live another way, you're becoming soft. And why you becoming soft instead of really becoming a man? One of the things about being the difference between me back then and now is the emotional state that I have. A lot of times we don't realize and recognize that we're so emotional when we're out there in the streets doing everything. Like everything is based upon emotion, the fights we have, the attitudes we have, and it's just this emotional, you know, like the father was. The father had a right to be emotional.
Yes.
Right.
Because
Right.
he's now recognizing his son, his life is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the proper tools
To-
to logically walk through this. He
Right.
handles it with the tools he has.
Right.
And
Right.
not,
That's
you know,
true.
I don't look down on stuff like this because,
Right.
like you said, it's culture. It's the way
Yeah.
certain things are. That's my son, and you know, I'm raising him. You're not, and this is the way I choose to raise him. Stay out of my business.
Right.
Right.
And doesn't realize that posting this online now is getting the hype behind it. You know, let's say that the dad ends up getting arrested and has to face charges, right?
Right.
No matter how long that dad is gone, this son is now exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times as men, we don't realize that we take penitentiary chances and we expose our family to risk after that because of the chances we decide to take and the choices we decide to take. And so a part of being there and showing that you're not soft is staying there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
not allowing anything to pull you away. Now he's at the mercy of the justice system. If the justice system wants to come and charge him because of what they see on this video, now your family's at risk. Now
Yep.
we go back to the Jim Crow stuff, the slavery stuff, all these other things that kick in, the prison industrial complex and all these, you know. And so being in Memphis, so you got to have a certain mentality also. If you're in a certain location and everything else, we can look up Memphis and everything. But
You can look up Memphis. You can look up at Metro
Right.
Atlanta,
Everywhere.
Chicago.
Hey,
It's the culture.
DJ
Yeah.
Quick had a song
Houston.
back in the
Right,
day
right.
saying it's just like Compton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But let me ask a question. Let's throw a stereotype in here.
All right.
The tats. When
Yep.
you see somebody with their hat tilted to the side,
Right.
what do you think?
That's Matt Genius. I mean, I don't got no.
He's of the
Seriously.
culture.
Yeah.
Where I
mean,
come from, left side is vice lord, right side is gangster.
See, like,
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know about gangs. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
real. Okay, let's talk about how much red he had on,
Yeah.
Right.
It could be. Yeah.
right?
could be. You know?
Combined with the tattoos,
Yeah,
hat
could
tilted
be.
to the
Mhm.
side,
You just
all the red. I mean, like everybody knows you don't dress in full red
In certain areas.
in the hood
Yeah.
Right.
unless you
Talking
send in
about
a
he
message.
Pyru, huh?
I mean, I like the color red. You know, so
I love red. I'm just
Love
saying,
red.
though, when I moved to LA,
Yeah.
you know it. You know it,
when I
baby.
moved to LA before I became LA, I grew up in Illinois. I was a Bulls fan.
Right.
Oh man.
Had to get rid of all that.
The first walk I took in Inglewood, somebody pulled me aside. Was like, "What's up, blood?
What?
Excuse me,
Nah.
sir.
At least you have the right color on.
You need to change your
Yeah.
clothes, homie. Right?
Right.
Change your clothes, and be glad I didn't have on a pair of expensive sneakers, or I'd had to give them up. You know,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, you're dealing with a father trying to be a father who hasn't escaped the culture.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you get better when these are the fathers raising their sons
Right.
in that demographic?
Right.
Right. Right. Right.
And I'll
Don't
go
do it
back.
by
I did a
yourself,
paper
that's
back
for
in.
sure.
in like 2005, moving to Atlanta, and we were talking about Bankhead, and the conversation came up in the office. Is a young black boy growing up in Bankhead considered a victim before he's 10 years old?
Wow.
That's you have to ask yourself that,
Right.
because people say, well, no, people get out, but what are the percentages of the people that actually get out and go and do something great with their lives versus the people who never leave their zip code?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have pockets of existence like that where people never leave a 4-block radius.
Right.
And that culture continues to live on because not only do they not get out, but help cannot get in.
Yeah. So I think there's something about the language too, man. Language is very important, and the language we use to even talk about this is very telling. Hard and soft, as if those are the only two options. Me, small and large. I'm a medium. I like that in between somewhere. But also I think just us, kind of like putting it all in this thing we call the culture. Culture is greater than just the negative aspects of who we are as a people. There's so many rich things that we can adhere to the culture, but the culture usually gets the stain of negativity. That's the culture.
It's a part of it, though.
It's a part of it. It's a part of it, but is it really? Because I don't think our culture started with these things as characteristics and traits. And so where did these things come from? Where did we learn these things? And how did these things become a part of the culture?
It's adopted in everyday life. If it becomes everyday life by everyday
but it's part of that colonization process.
Right? Boom. And so even if I'm a student of hip hop, and I remember when most hip hop artists dressed like this. They had the mask, they had the unks, they had the cross, they had all these different symbols of power, of a reflection of our greatness,
Right.
And so when you start talking about hard and soft, you make it seem like those are the only two options for young men to
That's
take.
how you feel. Yeah.
And I don't think it's about either one of them. I think it's about what the brother was saying. I can't remember the name right now. Man, my mind is going too many spaces right now. But about the emotional aspect of it right now, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, man, because I grew up in Opalaka where you didn't really have a choice. You really had to adopt that hard shell.
And I didn't know you from Opalaka, man.
Oh man. Well, now you know. Don't let the graphics fool you, right?
Yeah. Hialeah, Flea Market, all that. Okay.
There you go. So I think a part of it is that we have to learn that what Thomas was saying earlier is that a lot of us don't have the emotional IQ. Emotional IQ. And so when we grow, what is the rite of passage to help young men turn into men with emotional IQ to understand that it's not about hard or soft. It's about measuring the worth of your emotions in the moment to see if would it be worth what is going to consequently create the domino effect of what's going to happen later on. I don't think the father understood that. I don't think the son definitely understood that because of the relation to the father. The son wouldn't be in that predicament partially because if the father had a different relationship to create a pathway towards a different type of manhood mentality. That's intervention. That's intervention. What you saw there.
Yeah.
I think he's better off with the father present.
Yeah.
He is. But that's one of the things about intervention is that intervention is preventable. We don't have to intervene if we're doing preventative measures from the time period that we should be in the child's life, teaching them, and like I said, man, we don't have the full context, man.
That's the culture. That's what I mean about the cultural shift that has to happen. You can't fix it when that's the lifestyle.
Right.
My daddy did it. I'm doing it, and I'm teaching my son to do it. Where does the shift come in? This is that whole conversation about, there was a great debate. Are we under a curse? And the scripture clearly tells us in the book of Romans 5, chapter 5 and chapter 6, clearly the curse has been removed because of Christ. But the practice of iniquity gets passed from generation to generation. It's the behavioral patterns of us that destroys us. And the Lord says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You can't get the truth in there because you don't speak the language.
Right.
You know, I'm in IT. I can't go and have a conversation with a database administrator if I can't speak SQL.
Right.
If you don't speak hood, you're not welcome.
Right.
That's real. And everything that we're talking about through that entire, like, we see the light go out because we have been brought into a light.
Right.
That father didn't recognize. That father could look at that on his own video.
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take him to realize the impact of what he did?
Maybe instantly. Like
probably.
like bro saying,
Man.
he was emotional.
Well, hold on.
That too.
Flip your
That
question.
too.
But see, now we're speculating, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if there was an inkling of it, then you would say then there should be an inkling of restraint.
I don't know. It's an
You
emotional
so-
moment.
you
but
were
I-
so-
but I
like,
think-
this is what happened. He hit him and said, "Now what?"
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He called him out. He's like,
Called
what you
him
gonna do
out.
about it? What you gonna do
Right.
about it?
Right.
So
Don't call your
he was
friends.
so
Pull up.
confident. He was so confident in what he did. Let me show y'all what y'all not ready for. Pow! Now what?
He was out there already. You ain't
Yeah.
never been out there in a moment where you just your foot out there. You got to
You
go
just go
with
for
it.
it. You just,
Right.
I'm gonna continue this path.
Now you tell me this, experts. Looking back at the video as a father, you can look at it and be like, "Wow, I can't believe I did that to my boy." Or you can look at it and be like, "Look what you made me do." Or you can look at it and be like, "I'll do it over and over again just to save your black
Just to
behind."
save your life.
Yeah,
Just to save your life. I think that's what headspace he was in. You know,
Right.
He's
Saving
trying to
lives.
save his life because listen, murder rates in some of these cities are astronomical. You know, it's out of this world. So what I'm trying to do is I will threaten you as much as I can so you won't have to go out in the streets and get murdered.
Literally
Instead of educating you on the
Like I said,
consequences.
I would
your
have did the
actions.
same thing, but I wouldn't have did it on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
I
the
might have been wrong for doing the same thing, but in my mind, I would have did the same thing, but I wouldn't have had it on camera.
I'm with you, Kaneem.
that's the
25 years ago, I'd have did the same thing. Today, I'll do something different
But I'm saying
because
that's
of
been
what I've learned. But I'm with you. There was a time I would have reacted the same way, Kaneem.
Pastor, tell us what you
been the
would
reaction.
do. I want to hear what the alternate, you know, like tell us, give us an example. Sorry.
Nah, go ahead, bro.
You said example. What'd you say?
Yeah, you said
What
you
would you
do
do
something different today. I'd like to, you know, share that with the audience.
Oh,
what
yeah,
that would
yeah.
look
So
like.
today, well, all right. So I love guns, and I think I'm hard.
Facts.
I'm a
Come
man
on
of
now.
God. I love the Lord, but
Drop
I
the
promise
facts,
you,
man.
I still think I'm hard.
Drop the facts.
I feel like I can go with anybody. Any day. That's just how I feel. That's just me, right? I'm not trying to do that, but in my heart, I'm saying I'm not the one.
I'm not a killer, but don't push me.
That's it. That's real talk.
Right.
I'm saved, but I know I will still go to jail.
Right.
That's just Brian. Please don't condemn clergy.
Right.
But today, what I've learned is the decisions that you make at 18, 17 years old can have an impact on you, negative impact on you at 25, 27.
Okay.
What I'm saying is make sure my educational aspect of it is whatever I'm dealing with, and I'm just trying to give y'all a peek into Brian's world. A lot of the challenges that I have that I'm dealing with today are based on decisions I made 10 years ago.
Right.
So I have to shift today's decisions in hopes that 5, 10 years from now, I'm benefiting from them and not being hurt by them.
Right. Gotcha.
That's the type of conversation we have to have with young people. That I say, this may look good, it may feel good, it may sound good today, but will it hold its value in 5 years?
Right.
Now, most young people ain't even thinking about 5 years from now.
At all.
Not even close. So what you have to do is talk to them like they're young. Remember the conversation we had in the 5th grade?
Right.
Well, now you're in the 9th grade. Does it make sense now? Remember the conversation we had in the 9th grade? All the things I tried to tell you to take care of.
Oh,
Oh, he done froze up.
Screenshot it.
I
Save
can't-
it for
I
later.
remember that ninth grade.
Oh, okay, there you back. You back.
You got to take them through those kind of conversations, man, and let them know that, you know, these decisions, while they may get you cool points today,
Yeah.
they're going to be foul in a few years. And if you get caught up in this stuff today, you're going to rob yourself of your
Yeah.
future. And then there's the kind, you also got to talk about the conversation that going to jail is not a badge of honor,
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Not
Because
much,
surviving
not
it, you
much.
come back and you considered a hero in the hood.
Big
Well,
There's so
part
many
of-
other facets to this conversation that you have to have. But mine, the way that I would approach it today is educational and aspirational.
Right.
That's what I would do.
The only knock I have against it, I was taught, and I believe it today, you can't do anything with a child until you have their attention. And I'm not sure. I know this.
That's good.
That daddy has that boy's attention.
Right.
Now, I'm not justifying, I'm not saying everything, you know, we can agree it was egregious, but I'm saying that boy paying attention. He saw his son playing with guns.
Right.
Prison is the best outcome of that.
Nah.
You feel what I'm saying?
No,
Like
he said
him
best
being
outcome.
alive is the
Yeah.
best outcome of that situation.
Right.
You know, the whole family could have got shot. And then I also, and I wanted to ask, could this video probably help serve some other father, some 18, 19-year-old dad who sees it and say, I'm gonna do it different? Because like you don't know it's bad until you see it. So as embarrassing as it might be for that family, and we letting whoever held the camera off the hook, by the way, that person is justifying. And it's probably the mama. So the
I think
whole
it was
house
mom.
was with
I
it.
think mom was
You
over the
feel me?
camera.
So
Yeah.
that video could serve another generation to say, I'm not gonna do it that way.
Or
know
it
what I
could serve the very opposite, where I'll do exactly what he did.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, because we see things. You know, I remember the first time going to jail. I watched someone else go to jail, and I thought that's the way it was supposed to be done.
Right.
And a lot of times when you're young, trying to become a man and you're trying to figure it out, you take your cues from those that are around you, and sometimes the cues that you have aren't the best cues to take.
Right.
When we think about this type of dynamic in a relationship, I mean, there's so many things we can speculate from what happened,
Right.
how the kid is and the son, there's just so many different things. I don't think the best thing that can happen out of this is that the kid can go to jail, because that's still
he'd be alive.
a lot of trauma. And I mean, death, we want to avoid death at all costs, but sometimes we're walking dead. We're just suffering and existing in this life. And so, one of the best things that could possibly happen out of this, in my opinion, is if the dad goes and looks at this video and comes back to the son and says, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's literally, but if we go according to the comments that were on the screen earlier, that's soft though. You don't come back and apologize. No, that is manhood 101. Because we do know that regardless of how many times our parents blow it, that we will forgive them if they give us space and give us room and create that space. And it's important to often have that. Think about the dog that gets kicked. If you kick the dog a couple times, it's going to be scared. You got to get that trust back, and that the only way you can get the trust back is by showing that I'm not going to kick you anymore. Right. But if this is not the last time that this kid is going to go through something like that, then there's going to be some additional issues. Don't think that, there's people out there that say, I'm glad I got whooped when I was a kid because it kept me out the streets.
Right.
Well, I got whooped as a kid and it didn't keep me out the streets. I got slapped upside the head. It didn't keep me out the streets.
So how you judge who's right, who's wrong?
You're right. You don't, because I don't think it's a judgment call here. I think it's really people doing the best they can do.
Yeah, for what they got.
But then when we start to recognize that the opportunities that are playing out in front of people in spaces, if this child has no other opportunities but streets, he's still going to go streets. If that's the way he feels.
Yeah.
If the father is trying to keep him out of the streets, there's a level of transition that has to happen within the whole household, in my opinion. But the reality is my dad did the best he could.
Right.
I just made some choices.
Right.
And ultimately my choices led me to certain places in life that, that was my choice. And
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to be able to turn all that around and be here right now. Because if I would have stayed on that road, then there's other options that I would have faced. Right. So the kid, he gets, he has the look on his face like, man, but at the same time, he didn't go nowhere, and that's his dad, but his dad just did it wrong. Somewhere along the line, we got to start doing better. And let me throw this back in there because it was brought up yesterday. The mom who went out and slapped her kid who was, in the riots in Baltimore, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm just trying to save my kids. I'm just trying, and the kid is getting popped upside the head, pushed by his mom.
Yeah.
And she's a hero.
Yeah.
Now we look at a man do this to a son, and it's a whole different level. But we also understand, as men, we have different influence over our kids.
Right.
Honestly, I wanted to add this too. Was anybody else concerned for the father's safety after watching this video?
Well,
I was not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, be able to handle yourself.
I know. I understand.
It's programming.
But I saw that in the dynamic between the father son. Like once that, not once, but it's a hard repair. And I think the father was inviting a lot of that stuff to him, like pull up.
That's what I mean. That's kind of what I meant, Matt, when I'm talking about the culture. All of that is normal behavior. Right. And that father is an OG all day.
Right.
So the respect that the son has, it could be because that's his father and he's been there all his life. It could also be because he's an OG and there's a level of respect for OGs in the hood.
Right.
Yeah.
Until there's not,
until there's not. Right.
And so
I mean, like my father, ain't no way my dad, your dad ain't even at home, but he wouldn't have done that to you, right? You're right, because he didn't do anything.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Sorry, y'all, I lost myself for a second. My dad wasn't there.
Daddy issues, man.
but going back to something you said, Thomas, you got me, man, because you're speaking through the lens of someone that has experienced incarceration. So when someone says better in jail than dead, and you talked about The Walking Dead, you speak from the perspective of someone who understands what being institutionalized can mean.
Right. I got to push back.
And unless you've faced that, you'll never understand that saying better off in jail than dead, how that's not really a winner.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm painting the picture of the father's image.
I'm
that's what I'm trying to say. As bad as jail is, that's the best outcome the father's thinking. My son is in here playing with guns. He gonna lose his life. He'll shoot himself. How many accidents just happened with somebody shooting himself? How many people shot through apartment doors and walls and hit babies and kids? Shoot himself, shoot his mama, shoot me. I lose my life over this. I'm saying you come catch your son doing that.
Right.
You're painting all these scenarios. So what I'm saying about jail is when jail seems like the best thing that could happen, then you're in a really bad predicament. So I'm saying, I'm trying to say that the father's justified. Not justified. It was egregious. But I'm saying this is his mindset. My family is going to hell in the handbasket. Old saying.
I gotta do something.
Well,
I gotta do something. This is crazy.
You think about the whole dynamic though. I don't know if the father's been to prison or not, but if he has, then he's a felon in possession of a firearm. And now you put my business out there. I can go back to prison.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. The other thing is he invited smoke to his house.
Right.
Yeah. So he's not really thinking about the danger he's putting his family in.
Right.
Yeah.
He was saying you put my business in the street.
There's a certain amount of pride and there's a certain part of reputation that I got to protect. There's certain other things. This is my son too, and I'm going to raise him. And, before I let y'all kill him, I'll do it. Right. And that's part of what he said.
And I'll kill you.
Yeah. And I'm going to kill you too, because I don't mind killing kids.
Everybody did. Yeah.
I kill everybody up in this mode. Right. But the reality is, there's so many other dynamics going on here where, does he care about his family? Absolutely. But is he making the best decisions for his family? No. I teach I wrote a curriculum, and in the curriculum, I often teach about how people's values are out of sync. Values dictate actions, and what you value in the moment is the way you're going to respond to something. And
Absolutely.
so ultimately, his value in the moment caused his responses. See,
Right.
you get people in prison all the time talking about my kids, I miss my kids, I miss my family. And they sincerely miss their kids and sincerely miss their family.
Right.
But their value system is out of whack because they were saying, I did everything I did for my kids, but your kids wasn't rolling around in the cars you were rolling around in. You
Right.
know, you did this for you. There's a part of you in this, and yes, you did part of it for your family, but the reality is, you know, your value system has to be aligned the right way. If you're
Yes.
trying to raise your kids in a certain way, then raise them that way, and let the value system dictate how you're going to raise them.
Right.
But don't, you know, if you're feeling like this is violence begets violence. So if
Right.
I'm gonna be violent toward you, or if I'm gonna have a violent attitude toward so many other things, then violence is gonna come. But again, I think one other thing, last thing I'm gonna say
Sorry.
is if he didn't have the guns he had, he probably wouldn't be talking the way he's talking either.
Oh yeah,
Because he's willing to do some things because I have these guns. And I've learned in my life that when you have guns, you're willing to talk different. You're
yeah.
willing to act different.
He
You
has some
take away
hands
the
too now.
gun,
He,
you're
he
not
had
gonna
some.
be
He had a quick hand
You
too.
got that was
Right,
a quick
right.
right hand. I saw a little Joe Frazier in him right there. Tell you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he has the hands. What I'm saying is, in this day and age,
I got you.
especially,
Yeah.
you're not gonna, if you don't have the
Yeah.
guns, you're not gonna talk that way because you know almost everybody in the hood has a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to do something, man. You know, at the start of this conversation, I was thinking like, what can we do as a group
Right.
of
Let's go.
men to, you know, really pour into a lot of men who are still on the fence of hard and soft, like those are the only two options. So I'm gonna make this declaration right here. You know, I want to offer, you know, a 2-hour training, you know, for men where we can have Q&A. I'll
That's
do
good.
a 30-minute presentation, 30 to 40-minute presentation on emotional IQ, on how to really, really understand where we come from to where we and how we get to 0 to 100. I'll do that. You know, if we can gather at least 50 men on a
50.
Zoom call or something like that,
Okay.
I will offer my time for the free,
That's good.
for the free.
Just
For
to
the
We
change
can
the
free.
get
culture.
together,
Okay.
yeah, to really talk about some of
Okay.
these things, you know, and without the public's eyes seeing it, because I know a lot of us held back on what we were really wanted to say on certain parts, which is okay. So I think sometimes we got to close the door so we can have some really deep conversations, and I'm willing to do that. So AD, if you could put that together, you know,
Oh, he already on it, man.
Already
you know,
on.
if we can
Link
get
coming soon. Don't even worry about it.
if we can get some of these men on here, Reese, I'm calling you out, brother. You know, I love you. I want to see you on there so we can talk about this hard,
Appreciate
soft
you, Thomas. I know you got to
Thank you,
roll.
understanding. You know, understanding that we have, and so I want to have this conversation deeper
Okay.
because you know we got to do better. We got to do better. So that's what I offer, man. You know,
Okay.
and let's make it happen to see how we
Definitely.
can change this narrative.
Bro, that's good because, like, I mean, when you, it's been hard and soft because those are the only two options that you got. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You got it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And then almost like Pastor McCord was talking about, like the fact that you got people living in this 4 square block with just two options. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's the biggest thing when I was
Awesome.
growing up. That kind of like when I started seeing that some of the people who had did some of the most gangster acts were really soft or well, my assumption was if you shoot, then man, you a shooter. You really gangster. Some of these people are shooting out of fear. You know what I'm saying? They
Mhm.
don't want those hands. They don't want to
That's
do
why
certain
that's
things.
why I can't wait to actually open up this conversation because when you understand where these acts come from,
Right.
violent acts don't
Right.
appear out of a calm state, of a clear mind. Usually they don't come from those states. They come from a state where our minds are misaligned with our emotions, and then we act out of that space, creating the domino effect of more violence, like
Absolutely.
Brother Thomas said earlier, violence beget violence. So
Right.
we have to learn how to understand where we are emotionally and where some of these acts, words, gestures come from when we feel like we're out of control.
I
Right.
felt it was egregious, but I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it, the old saying, "I rather you cried now than me cry later," is the first thing, and maybe that's culture, but that's the first thing came to my mind. Way over the top, but this father trying to save his son. So
Yeah.
that just seemed
And
to be
my
my
heart
first.
bled for him. My heart bled for
Yeah,
both of them because I was the son
Right.
I was that son, got smacked in the face publicly, but I think we got to do better, to repair these relationships. And so, in order to do that, we have to have deeper conversations with men,
Right.
with these men. Lack of education. Well, let's create some education. Let's create some awareness. So let's see who pull up. Let's see who pull up to the straightman. Pull up.
Pull up.
Pull up. We got something for you.
Make sure you connect. Text LW into 84576. Reese, hit me up, brothersoflegacy@gmail.com. Because we need to have a chat. So that's my information sharing there. We can exchange some info. Any men watching right now, if you know some other brothers, send them, have them text LW into 84576 or have them email me at brothersoflegacy@gmail.com. I'm gonna give like maybe 3 weeks on this. I'm gonna check Matt's schedule, see how we can pull this thing together. I just need a little bit of time to make sure all the brothers gonna come and everybody committing to have this conversation. And he's offering it on the free. Now this brother charges some good money, so this is gonna be a blessing. This is what you call a blessing. So definitely show up because we're all as men looking. I'm constantly looking for other ways to guide my children, especially my son, without some of the ways and techniques that I've shown or been taught, if that makes sense. So I'm always open to learn more, always open to get better. So the next generation gets better as well. And the situation, it's in the moment, and that's kind of like the crux of this conversation. Like, what happens? I need to do something. I need to do something. I can't ignore this, but I have to make a point. And for him, and for a lot of us, that would have been the point. Because I'm keep it real. I'm with Kaneem. I probably end up doing something similar, maybe, but probably not on camera. Probably not on camera. But
no. Because I got a 15-year-old son.
End up doing
I got a 15-year-old daughter too. But you know what I'm saying. So I got the female and the male aspect at a teenage years who are absorbing this culture like a sponge. You know what I'm saying? So I'm having I had to have a conversation with my daughter today. She trying to go out the house with her belly button showing for the world to see. I was like, oh.
Wait a minute.
You're going to have to slow that down, but mama. You're going to have to go out there and put something else back on. Because I don't want to see your belly button, and I'm not going to promote you to go outside and show your belly button. Get up, put something else on. You know what I'm saying? So
she ain't showing a belly button for you, Papa.
Hey, that ain't the point. Allow her to go and promote it to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole thing. Like,
if that same father would have had a daughter who did the same thing the son did, he wouldn't have put it on camera.
No.
Same daddy. No. He wouldn't have been, and she could have been toting 6 pistols. He wouldn't have slapped her. He wouldn't have put it on.
But you can think about what you just said, and that's the issue, right? We have to make sure that we are dealing with future men, and future women, not just this boy, this B, this punk, who really don't know, don't know what, really don't know there's somebody out there that will kill you, right? But who is that person? Because that person might look just like you, Dad. That's real talk, man.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was, I love the offer from Matt, and I want to make sure people understand we can have this conversation because we're already having these conversations. It's not brand new. We're just inviting you in. That's what it is. And so I'm grateful that you said that out loud, bro. Because people think somehow we're all just professionals and we're programmed to say the things that we say. No, we are all real men who have lived lives, who have evolved into where we are today, and we're hoping that we can have an impact on others.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's because it's not a good look. So yeah, and just as a note, it won't be live. It's not going to be a live call. It's going to be a closed conversation. So just so everybody's like, man, I want my stuff out here. I want to
come on and cry privately, man. We got
you. Man. Yeah.
It's going to be a closed conversation.
I love it.
All right. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. I know Mr. Thomas got to roll out. Appreciate you being here, my brother.
I appreciate being on. Final thing I'll say is you never know what you'll do in those moments if that's
Yes.
you, because we all have
Right.
something inside of us we just grown past, but nothing ever leaves what's inside of you.
Yes.
So you never know what you'll do in that moment until you're faced with it.
Right.
His
Yeah.
dad did what he felt like he had to do, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
He's trying to raise his son the way he has to, you know. He's in his son's life, and I think that that's, you know, something that's, you know, to be commended.
Right.
But at the same time, we got to start thinking about the trauma that's been caused to us, and the cycles of trauma that we continue to push on. And, you know, so this conversation that's been offered, I think is really a great opportunity for people to come together and really begin to heal some of this process and really understand what manhood looks like.
Right.
Look at that, man. That slap caused this, you know, thing to come up. You know, now people are gonna get a free training because of the slap. So
Yeah. Slap her around the world.
that's what I'm saying, man.
Yes, sir.
Let's invite Will Smith.
Oh,
Get the broadcast. Cut it off.
It ain't Friday. It ain't Friday.
good
Cut it
one.
off.
Listen,
You
he's
supposed to
definitely
wait till
invited,
Friday
man.
before you
He's
say all
invited.
that.
He's invited.
Not Friday.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's the
hey,
real
real
question though.
quick.
When is it okay to slap people? Like,
Real quick,
We can answer
AD,
that. We can answer
if you don't mind, I'll tell you this lesson I learned. When I was in a shelter in my first marriage, my oldest daughter was about 4 years old. And I don't know, I think I had to be 22, 23. And I came around the corner and there was another little boy who was the adopted son of the director of the shelter. She was an older lady. She's probably in her 60s at that time. And my daughter like 4, the little boy had to be 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I came around the corner and I see them playing in the hallway, but I see him being mannish with my daughter, right? He's on her imitating something that he's seen, right? Humping.
mhm.
I completely snapped. I snatched him up
Oh yeah.
against the wall and I said, boy, don't you ever let me catch you. As a matter of fact, like that dad did, I pulled my belt off and I tapped him a couple times in that hallway. He's not my child, but he was on my daughter.
Right.
His mother came around the corner, saw me doing what I did. She stood back. She let me finish. I sent him to his room. I looked at her and I said, she said, no, sweetie, you don't have to explain. I trust you.
Nice.
That's what she said. She said, the only question I have, she says, if you had it to do it all over again, would you do it exactly the same way? And she said, now take a moment. Think about everything that you just saw. Now I want to give you a perspective. He's adopted. We don't know all that he's seen. He's 6 years old. He doesn't know what he's doing. All he knows is he just got a beat down.
Right.
And he does not know why.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Right.
to digest right there.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I was still mad,
Yeah.
but I felt horrible because I felt invaded, assaulted myself.
Right.
But by whom? A 6-year-old?
Right. It's good.
I made him a grown man in that moment.
Yeah.
And I robbed him of an opportunity for me to educate him on something.
Right.
So I had to go back and start talking and not react like that. So that was a lesson I learned a long, long time ago about how we respond to our children. But it still takes a long time to grow out of that behavior.
Right.
I probably would have handled that a little bit differently myself. I'd have still yoked him up, but whose son is this? Whose son is this?
Listen, I when I was watching this yesterday, came across an article where a man, his son had been touching, I guess, his sister or something. He separated from the family, but the mom calls the dad and says, "Hey, your son has confessed to doing this." Dad went over there with the pistol whipped him, took him out into the middle of field, executed him.
No.
Wow.
And you know, so it's sometimes we got to recognize like things run deep, and
Yeah, man.
you know, there's responses to everything. Was that over the top? Probably, but at the same time, you know,
No,
when you
that was
start
over the top, bro.
with
That
your
wasn't no
kids,
problem
you know,
with me. That was
That's tough.
that was way.
You had me at pistol whip.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
right.
he
Right.
and then killed him.
We got to end on a high note,
way
guys.
to
We got to
start
end on a
life.
high
Yeah,
note.
yeah. Y'all keep bringing me up and down. man.
I know we keep going like, and then this.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I
It's
mean,
a
so we're gonna
messed
get out
up
of here.
world, man.
Appreciate you guys for being here, rocking with us. Thank you for all that you do. Make sure you stay connected. Go to brotherlegacy.com. Go to right. That's extreme. Go to Beyond Donations. Give feeling led to give and bless this organization. We're doing some great things. We already got a freebie right here, free training for being a part of Brothers of Legacy. So if you know any other brothers that are looking for a way, just to have conversation, don't get too deep on it. You give too much information, like, nah, I ain't doing all that. So just a way to have conversation, brothers chatting it up. So I'm all sideways now, right? So make sure you stay connected. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. Know that we love you. Jesus loves you better. 988, having a mental health crisis. Make sure you or someone you love down 988, and we'll keep pressing that. As well as if you're in the state of Georgia and North Carolina, early voting, make sure you vote. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote.
Voted today.
All right, awesome. So we will see you in the AM. He said, "Man, I need to call. These guys are messing me up."
Really? I'm about to go hug somebody.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the AM. Stay safe. Make good choices.
Blessings, fellas.
Peace out. We out.